Creek?
It's on Victory.
Oh.
It's after Big Bethel, but before Running Man. So we're sort of in no man's land. So I turned around and went back and
Swam the other direction.
yeah.
Looking at it.
Wow, look at the crab.
They're all wet, dude, don't worry.
Okay, we'll call to order the May Poquoson City School Board meeting. And Kelly, if you can start us off, please.
Sarah Wagner will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah is a member of the Key Club and volunteers in the community for many events. She is the business editor for the Island Echo and is the academic committee chair for the Student to Student Club. She is an A honor roll student and will attend James Madison University in the fall to major in health communications and minor in either environmental science studies or Spanish. Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice recovery.
Thank you. Rachel Stadler will give an inspirational reading. Rachel is president of the Leo Club and a drum major of the Poquoson Island Marching Band. She recently received the second award of excellence at the Tidewater Regional Science Fair. She achieved her Girl Scout Gold Award last year and is a member of the Chesapeake Bay Wind Ensemble. Rachel will attend the University of Virginia to study engineering.
Okay, so I have a 30-second quiz for you, but you don't need to write anything down, just think of each answer. Number 1, name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. Number 2, name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. Number 3, name the last 5 winners of the Miss America contest. Number 4, name 10 people who won the Nobel or Pulitzer Prize. Number 5, name the last 5 Academy Award winners for Best Actor and Best Actress. How did you do? If you're like me, you probably didn't get any. The point is, none of us remember the headliners of yesterday. These are no second-rate achievers. They're the best in their fields. But the applause dies, awards tarnish, achievements are forgotten. Now here's another quiz. See how you do. 1, name 3 teachers who aided you on your journey through high school. 2, name 3 friends who helped you through a difficult time. 3, name 5 people who have taught you something worthwhile. 4, think of a few people who have made you feel appreciated and special. 5, think of 5 people you enjoy spending time with, like Mr. Diggs. Okay, was that easier? The lesson is that the people who make a difference in your life aren't the ones with the most credentials, the most money, or the most awards. They're the ones who care. Thank you.
Well done, ladies. Thank you. For our student presentation tonight, we're actually going to have a little twist. We're going to have one of our teachers do the presentation. In tonight's presentation, using assistive technology as part of PCPS Special Education Services, Doris Feltman, Director of Student Services, will provide a brief overview of assistive technology in Poquoson schools, and Megan Foley, speech language therapist, I could use some of that, will provide a more in-depth look at speech-language therapy using the iPad as an assistive technology device with our students. While students are not assisting in presenting the information, the presentation will clearly demonstrate what teachers and other staff members are doing with some of our students with special needs. Ms. Feldman.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Carter. Dr. Parrish, School Board. Well, you're right. We aren't the students, but we do work with the kids who use this assistive technology. Just real quickly, assistive technology, or AT as it's often called, is any device, whether you buy it, whether you create it, whether you get it off a shelf, whether you make it for a specific student that helps a student to increase or maintain or their capabilities in school so that they can learn. AT is federally mandated for all students with IEPs so that they can benefit from their education. AT services are for any student with an IEP or with a 504 plan. AT services are integrated among the other services. They're not separate, but rather they're there to help support a student. The law requires that we consider an assistive technology evaluation. We don't have to do it, but we've got to consider it. And so AT is embedded as part of an IEP. It's not a standalone thing. It's to help a student reach their goals. The special ed teacher is the one that is required to help implement the assistive technology as part of the student's education. The division is required to make sure that the assistive technology is available, that it's maintained, that it's in good working order, and so forth. We have assistive technology in the school, and I started to list it over, right here, that goes from very low tech to very high tech. And what you see here is just a representative list. Every single one of these things is being used in our school system now. They go from simple things like a weighted pencil to special adaptive equipment, to computer programs, to iPods, to iPads. Ms. Foley here last fall got a PEF grant to purchase some iPad apps that are specific to speech and language services in the schools. Poquoson provided the iPad, and so she's going to share with you how those apps are used to help these students reach their goals and objectives on their IEPs.
Yeah. Hello. Like Dor said, last year I became interested in using the iPad for assistive technology. I was talking with some speech therapists in Williamsburg, and they were starting to implement them there, and I'm doing some research on my own. It's really starting to change special ed, but especially speech, because the accessibility of it and the interaction you can use it across across speech. So there's a lot to speech therapy that a lot of people don't know. It's not just the S sound, the R sound. I'm going to kind of show you a few of the aspects that I cover in speech pathology, and this is just a few apps that I use. And I tend to get very creative. I was able to purchase quite a few apps with the grant, which I really appreciate, to get me started. And then I always look for free applications and to see what I can kind of be creative with, and whatever interests the child. It's really great because it gives a lot of auditory and visual feedback, and that's immediate. And I've noticed the students have become a lot more responsible. They feel like they actually have a part in their therapy instead of just doing whatever I say. So the first thing that I'll go over, articulation, is the basic that everyone thinks about with the S and the R. There's a few apps on here that I use. The first one, it's called ArticPix, and it's really great because a lot of these applications have built-in data ability, so the kids can track their progress, and they really like it. And every time we sit down, we go over where they were the last session and where they hope to be, and they can graph their progress. And a lot of these, you can upload it to email. This one, ArticPix, you can pick, there's several sounds, and you can pick the sounds, and the child records their voice in here. Hello. Hello. And then they can decide if they liked it or not. And the smiley face and the frown face, so it keeps track of their progress, and we always talk about it beforehand. How did you like that? Did you think it was good or not? So that way they're really being able to discriminate their own sounds instead of just listening to me. What I think is great about this, though, is Oscar Mayer, he's not real. I made him up. He's not a real student. But it has their progress listed here, and it can show exactly where in the word they were having trouble, which sounds they were having trouble, and then it tracks it over days. So there was yesterday and today. And then you can just directly upload it to your Google spreadsheet, or you can email it, and it's really a great way for the student to, I always keep my own data, but this is mainly for the students so they can look and see, oh, okay, last week I had this. So I really like this application. Another application I use for articulation, language stuttering for a lot is, it's called Speak Easy, and it's not necessarily a speech app, but I really like it because it gives visual feedback for the auditory sound. So a lot of students have trouble with the R production, which is very difficult to show them how to produce because it's so far back in your mouth. With this application, they can see a visual representation. So I'm going to actually turn this. Oops. Did it go loose?
Uh-oh.
I'm screwing it back in. I think it came undone. Okay, we'll just try the other one.
Technology.
Okay, that's
go.
Thank
Perfect.
you. First time I did this presentation, I forgot to turn the iPad on. I couldn't figure out why the screen was black. Okay, so I'm going to show you a production, and I'm going to turn on this other microphone. And
Don't push.
but I need to turn this on. Okay, there we go. There you go. I'm going to turn on this other microphone. I hope it doesn't make a loud noise. Okay, so hopefully what you'll be able to hear, there's a little girl who, let me find it. The first production is an incorrect R production, and I show them the shape of it. And my kids learn that when the graph goes to a point, it's not going to be a good R. When it rounds, that's a good R. So what I did was I paused it after the first production, and I asked her to look at it, and she said, without even looking at it, she knew it was not going to be a good R sound. And she listened to it, and then she corrected it. So I'll show you. Hopefully you can hear it.
Floor. Floor.
Okay, so the first one was definitely a W that she produced, and the second one was a better R. So this just gives a really great visual feedback for the student. Also, you can email these. I had a little girl who really wanted to show her dad that she could say the word world. So we just got up and we emailed it, and he really enjoyed seeing that feedback. So the kids are becoming more interactive and more responsible for their speech, which is great. Another aspect of speech is stuttering, which... There's an application on here called Delayed Auditory Feedback, and I'm not going to hook it up right now, but basically you need an extra microphone. The student has a microphone and then an earpiece, and so they hear what they're saying, and it's being delayed a split second into their ear. It's called the choral effect, and basically when you hear yourself talking or you're talking with other people, your stuttering decreases. So this, which on a regular device would have cost thousands of dollars, but it's just an easy, maybe a $5 app, which was really great. So the iPad can go across different deficits, and it can address them in different ways. So the stuttering is another aspect that I address. The language is very broad. Receptive language deficits can cover auditory processing, verbal or expressive deficits. The child might have difficulty in the classroom or communicating or putting together a story or being able to retell a story. So a few things that I use, there's free applications like flashcards, which is by Quizlet, the website, and they're really great. You can use them for recipes and putting ingredients on there, or flashcards for correct verb production and everything. But what I really like is the interactive ones that the student can create a story and kind of look at how they're putting that grammar together. Here's an example of one of our students. This is called Toontastic, and she made up this story, and she was able to put the music into the story also. We talked about the climax and how the problem was solved, and she chose her music for this.
Once upon a time, there was a princess named Corey, and she lives in a castle. But one day, there was a pirate. A mean pirate was coming to attack the princess. He took her to the ship. The pirate told her to walk the plank. When
You can
the
tell the music
prince
changes as it climbs.
saved the princess, the pirate fell in the water. The princess and the prince lived happily ever after.
She's working very hard on her grammar with that. Another aspect that we work with in speech is pragmatics, which is the children, especially on the autism spectrum, really struggle with that social communication, the natural give and take of conversation. So I'll show you real quick this one app on here. It's called Sock Puppets. And I have found that my kids that have autism really like using the sock puppets to help them learn that give and take in conversation, because it is very hard to do that with a person. And so if you, this has two little boys on it, and you'll see there's kind of a pause between it. And I'm trying to cue them to ask the other person to get that conversation going. And they like changing their voice so that they don't hear themselves talk, which is great. You can always change your voice on here.
How was your weekend? Good. What did you do on your weekend? I played golf. And I beat my dad by a stroke. Wow. Was it fun? Yes, it was fun. What did you do?
So that, it really helps expand on the conversation that a lot we take for granted, and it is really a struggle for some of our kids. Last, I wanted to talk about the assistive technology. Augmentative alternative communication devices are a form of assistive technology, and it's basically a voice output or even sign language, anything other than verbal speech. So a lot of our children who maybe have autism or cerebral palsy or nonverbal, the iPad can also be used as an AugCom device, the augmentative communication, which those devices usually are thousands of dollars. Again, just one of the applications that we have on here is Proloquo to Go, which is a very popular one. And basically, the student uses it to communicate their needs, and it can get very, very complex. This is just a quick example. The student can say,
something to eat. Dinner. Beef fajitas.
Sometimes you have to work on the pronunciation.
I want beef fajitas.
Okay, so, the student can create it, and you can store different files depending on the student for that. And we also have the sign app, which we use sign language for a lot of children, especially the younger children. And this is just a good feedback for them if they are trying to learn a sign, such as, if I had did it go off? There we go, it went off again.
Got it.
Okay.
Let's turn this on.
No, I don't want to.
I know it'll go away.
Okay.
Give it a second.
Okay. So if you're trying to teach them a sign, you can find it on here. And even though you're showing them, this is just, it's nice feedback for them. So here he's signing Apple. And they can zoom in. They can turn him however they want. So it's really a 3D, and it's really nice for that feedback, and they can practice different signs. And this is used a lot with children, again, that are nonverbal and have that, or they struggle with maybe verbal apraxia, and they have to use some signs or some other form of communication to help them. So these are just a few applications, and I'm still, figuring out new stuff every day. So anyway, thank you very much for having me.
Questions?
Board, do you have questions, comments? Well, I'll say that I had the privilege of going to a special education advisory committee one afternoon when Ms. Foley was doing the presentation, It was much more lengthy, so she was able to go into a lot more detail about some of the things that you saw tonight. So this right here is not even the tip of the iceberg. One thing I can say is that Ms. Foley, she is very, very dedicated to what she's doing. She's very knowledgeable, passionate about it. You could tell she was getting excited. And the creative, I think, is such an understatement. What she can take and do for these kids is just phenomenal. We are truly grateful for your work and for your whole department, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Parrish, do we have any additions and/or modifications to the agenda?
We actually have a slight modification this evening in under 5A, where we have financial update by Bill Bowen. In fact, I'm going to do a budget update at that point because we've got more budget news from the General Assembly. So that'll just be a slight change later in the agenda.
Okay, and next we'll go into recognitions. We have quite a few. Students, if you could please stick around, we'll go through the recognitions, give out awards. But the board would like to come out and speak to each of you. It won't take very long, so if you guys will hang with us, and as soon as we're done, we'll let you go. We'll take a break, and you guys can go.
Well, as Mr. Carter said, we do have a number of recognitions both for students and teachers this evening, so it's very exciting for us. What I'd like to do first is talk about our Odyssey of the Mind teams. I'm going to talk a little bit about what our Odyssey of the Minds teams have done, and then I'll bring the elementary team up, and then after they've come up, we'll bring the middle school team up. Two of our public schools Odyssey of the Mind teams who recently competed in the regional competition won awards. The teams both participated in the You Make the Call problem, in which team members designed and built a structure made only of balsa wood and glue. Both teams built 12-gram structures, and during the competition tested the structures by placing weights on them. While testing the structures, the team also put on an 8-minute performance that had to include mathematics in its theme and include a team-created device that performed a mathematical function. The Poquoson Elementary School team, Division I, built a structure that held 933 pounds, the fourth highest weight of the day for all three divisions. They placed second in the state competition and will advance to World Finals to be held in Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa, May 23rd through 26th. I'd like to at this time call our team members forward. Britt Cortina. Brody Weston. Colby Baker. Savannah Kelly. Jack McKenna. Tyler Bielenberg. And Mallory Wright. Please join me in congratulating our elementary school team, Odyssey of the Mind. We wish them the best of luck in Iowa, and hopefully we'll see them back here at our June meeting, having won at the World Championships. Next, our middle school team also performed at the state level, and they gave a terrific performance. Their structure held 828 pounds. Division II is a very competitive division this year, with one team structure holding over 1,200 pounds. The middle school team placed third in their division. I'd like to bring forward those students at this time. Let's start with Darren Middleton. Brennan Middleton. Eden Fullingham. Shay Hartley. Wasn't Sandra Fan? I'm not sure if she was able to make it. She hasn't come in, has she? Okay. Molly Arms. And Taylor Middleton. Please join me in congratulating the Poquoson Middle School Odyssey of the Mind team for their great accomplishments. And as they're coming down, before we move on to the next recognition, I want to thank, on behalf of the school division, the parents who I know put in so much time with our Odyssey of the Mind teams, and we have other volunteers who aren't even parents that assist with them. So thank you, because you make the difference and continue what is a tradition of excellence in the area of Odyssey of the Mind for us. So thank you very much. Next, I'd like to recognize another student. This student participated in the Skills USA competition. Skills USA is a partnership of students, teachers, and industry working together to ensure America has a skilled workforce. It is a national nonprofit organization serving teachers and high school and college students who are preparing for careers in trade, technical, and skilled service occupation. It provides students with the training and experience to make their way into the workforce. The state competition was recently held at New Horizons. If we could please bring forward Casey Cruther. Casey is a junior at Poquoson High School, and she was awarded second place in cosmetology at the state level competition after winning first place in the district. Her model for the state competition was Morgan Dotson, who's also a junior in our school division. Casey demonstrated daytime and fantasy makeup, basic facial, and massage. She's a first-year cosmetology student at New Horizons and works part-time at the Ritz International Salon and Spa as a receptionist, assistant, and makeup artist. Casey first became interested in cosmetology because her mom is also a stylist at the Ritz. Please join me in congratulating Casey Cruther. Also like to recognize at this time, we had students at the middle school. They were French students in the French 1 class who were recognized by the French Embassy for their work. Our Poquoson Middle School's French 1 class under teacher Kathy Holland recently participated in a national contest sponsored by the French Embassy. The theme of the contest was self-expression. Each student chose 1 of 10 words and was required to illustrate the word on a postcard. 4 of Poquoson students won a first prize for their submissions. At this time, I'd like to bring these students up, and my former French teachers are not going to like me because I know I'm probably going to slaughter my French right now. But let's start with Molly Arms. And Molly, with her postcard, illustrated the word autrement. Next, Kelsey Dunbar. And she illustrated the word natural. And I don't believe she's here, but Casey Kambangaza also was recognized. We'll get a certificate to her. Rachel Morrison. She illustrated Confier. Please join me in congratulating our French 1 students for their accomplishment in the French Embassy's postcard competition. In addition to it being a very special night for us to recognize our students, this is also special for another reason, because it's our opportunity to recognize our various teachers of the year in the school division who give so much to our students throughout the year. I'd like to first bring forward Trish Boyle. And in the audience with Trish, we have her husband, Bill Boyle, as well as her son, Riley, in attendance this evening. Trish received her bachelor's degree from UVA and a master's from VCU. She's taught 11 years in Poquoson with 19 years total in teaching. She currently teaches special education at Poquoson High School. She leads the special education department. She's a student-to-student co-sponsor. She's the Model UN co-sponsor. She works with the PHS recycling program. She's developed special ed curriculum, and she has participated in the Community of Transition Forum. She states that part of her philosophy is to empower students to become lifelong learners and productive members of their communities. She believes teachers need to reignite the love of learning and to structure the learning environment to ensure the spark of intellectual curiosity. She believes the saying, knowledge and power, is very important to her philosophy. Please join me in congratulating the Poquoson High School Teacher of the Year, Trish Boyle. Next, I'd like to bring forward Jennifer Canella, the Poquoson Middle School Teacher of the Year. In the audience tonight with Jennifer is her husband, John Canella, her daughter, Grace, her parents, Jackie and Pat Sykes, and her parents-in-law, Teresa and Sal Canella. Jennifer received a bachelor's degree from Radford University and her master's degree from VCU. She's taught for 11 years in our school division and has a total of 15 years of teaching. She teaches 8th grade English at Poquoson Middle School. She's been active in curriculum development. She's also been a new teacher mentor. She's been a guest speaker at Christopher Newport University's Teacher Certification Program. She's also been involved in grant writing. She served on the PCPS Technology Strategic Planning Committee. She's participated in William & Mary School University Research Network program, and she's a member of Delta Kappa Gamma. As part of her philosophy, she states that teachers should empower students with the necessary skills to take control of their own learning. She believes it is important to provide each student with an environment that meets their individual needs and learning styles and that supports student involvement. Ultimately, she believes she must provide students with the tools to and the foundation to become successful in a competitive society. Please join me in congratulating the Poquoson Middle School Teacher of the Year, Jennifer Canella. Next, I'd like to bring forward Desiree Flynn, the Poquoson Elementary School Teacher of the Year. In the audience with her today is her fiancé, Eric Barshi, as well as friends Megan Foley and Caitlin Orsborn. She received her bachelor's degree from East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania. She's taught in Poquoson for 3 years and has a total of 6 years of teaching. She's a 3rd grade special education teacher at the elementary school. She co-founded the Poquoson Elementary School Environmental Club and now sponsors it. She co-founded the Memory Book Committee for 5th graders. She has successfully written grants for school projects. She serves on the Poquoson Elementary School Leadership Committee, and she is co-captain for the Poquoson Elementary School Relay for Life team. As part of her philosophy, she believes it is important to aim high and set high expectations. She wants to enable her students to move forward to set goals and to teach them to understand that working hard and trying their best is what matters. She believes the quote, "Aim for the moon, at least you will fall among the stars," provides an important message. Please join me in congratulating Desiree Flynn. And the Poquoson Primary School Teacher of the Year is Wendy Green. Mrs. Green could come forward. In the audience with her this evening is her husband, Doug Green, her sons, Baker and Bailey, as well as her parents, Phil and Lois Young. Wendy received her bachelor's degree from Emory and Henry College. She's currently pursuing a master's degree at Benedictine University in Reading and Literacy. She spent her entire teaching career in Poquoson and has taught with us for 14 years. She teaches kindergarten at the primary school. She has served as teachers as leaders. She is the Book Nook kindergarten rep. She's a representative on the PPS scheduling committee. She serves as a teacher cadet mentor. She has also served as an Old Dominion University practicum teacher mentor. She served as a Christopher Newport University trainer for student teachers, and she herself has participated in numerous training activities. As part of her philosophy, she believes it is important to allow for many choices in the classroom, which she believes causes children to work harder and produce quality work. She recognizes the importance of fostering a love for literacy among her students, and she says that her, and I quote, classroom often looks messy and chaotic, but it's just the active learning of kindergarten students. Please join me in congratulating Wendy Green, the Poquoson Primary School. At this time, I'd like to bring forward Mr. Jim Crystal, who's the president of the Poquoson Kiwanis Club, and he is has something for our Teachers of the Year from the Kiwanis Club.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parrish, Chairman Carter, principals, parents, teachers, students. It's great to be here with you all today. Our Kiwanis Club is 117 members strong, and we are dedicated to changing the world one child and one community at a time. We're really, really proud of our relationship with the Poquoson public school system. In the primary school, we have a reading tutoring program. In the elementary school, we have had members in there reading to various classrooms. In the middle school, we have a math tutoring program, and also we support a builders club. And of course, in the high school, it's the Key Club. Does anybody recognize what I'm holding up here? Has anybody seen one of these before? This is a black marbled notebook. And believe it or not, this is my black marbled notebook from when I was in 4th grade. The first entry in here is dated 1956, so some things always stay the same. But there's really a special reason why I brought this today, and it's to tell you about my 4th grade teacher. I went to elementary school at Fort Monroe in 1956. My elementary school teacher's name was Miss Fisher. And as a young 4th grader, I didn't realize at the time what a great teacher Miss Fisher was. In my whole life, I can think of 3 special teachers, one in elementary school, one in high school, and one in the United States Air Force who was an instructor. But Miss Fisher was probably the best teacher that I ever had in my life. Now, as a 4th grader and then going up through high school, you know, I really wasn't thinking about who the best teacher was that I would ever know in my life. But later on, when I finally figured it out, it was too late to go back and tell Miss Fisher that she was the best teacher I ever had. Anyway, seeing these 4 great teachers here, let me tell you that there are students out there, and there will be students of yours, that will think the very same thing about you, and you may never be told that by them, but believe me, for the rest of their lives, they will remember you. So, without any further ado, let me present these $250 checks. The first one to Wendy. By the way, this is my history notebook, and the section of this history notebook that this happens to land in is Christopher Columbus. Discoverers, and in primary school, that's just great. The next one is Desiree. Guess what section this is out of? This is LaSalle, a great, probably the best French explorer in North America, and made it all the way down the mouth of the Mississippi River, and then we had the Louisiana Purchase. If you tell us anything about Williamsburg, that's where this came from. The
Thank you, Mr. Crystal. And on behalf of the school division, I want to thank the Kiwanis that you do provide a tremendous amount of support for our school division, as so many community groups do. So thank you for the continued support that you provide us. At this time, what I would like to do is recognize the Division Teacher of the Year. This is a surprise this evening. This teacher has been selected by a committee made up of staff from across the school division. This person will now compete for the State Teacher of the Year, and who knows, maybe the National Teacher of the Year. Please join me in congratulating the Poquoson City Public Schools Division Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Trish Boyle.
And at this time, we will take a short break. Thank you for coming.
Do it now.
Okay, next up is going to be our presentations and reports, and we're going to start with our operations update from Mr. Pappas.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, School Board, Dr. Parrish. That was wonderful to listen to all of that. Those accolades were great. Relative to operations, in the maintenance department, we've come to that time of the year where we're looking forward to the summer projects, where our students leave and we can get in there and fulfill the needs for the school next year and facilitate the principal's summer project needs. We just did a nice shared service with the city. At the high school, we noticed a safety issue during a fire drill, and we were able to fill in some swales, making egress easier, and the city was able to assist us in helping to grade the swales so that we can have water leave school much better than it was. In addition, that enabled us to fulfill a need that we had in the practice field for the band, and we did some remedial work there. On the stimulus front, as you know, you've approved several projects, one of which was the tennis courts. Pleased to tell you that that project is now underway. And the small courts to the left of our courts, if you were driving in, they'll be available during the entire transition period as we update our courts, make them more playable. Also, you may remember, from a security perspective, we did some things with door entry and cameras. And we finished those projects, the installation's done, and then we will work now, between now and when the teachers return, to remove the hard key issue, and we'll go with a fob. And entry will be safer at the primary school and the high school. It's a nice enhancement. On the transportation front, as you know, for years, we've been guests at York County for their bus rodeo, which is a wonderful training safety skill for our drivers. We had 3 drivers showed up this year at York County, and one of our drivers is going to participate in the regional rodeo in Virginia Beach. We're very excited about that. And on a custodial front, we just hammered through our custodial contract. I think we had alluded to that earlier during the budget process. We now have a multi-year contract, and we were able to save money from our current contract during that process. And that concludes my operations report.
Board, any questions, comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pappas, who is a bus driver that will be participating?
It's Wayne Cross. You may recognize him. He wears a tie and button-down shirt every day when he comes to work to drive our students.
So best wishes to Mr. Cross, and thank you for his service.
He's fantastic. He also serves as a trainer for our new drivers. He takes his job very serious. I'm very proud to have him on our staff.
Great. Thank you, sir. Next up, we'll have our financial update with Dr. Parrish.
Good evening. I'm actually going to do it from over here because I want to walk you through a presentation. As you know, we were waiting on the General Assembly to complete its work, as well as City Council to move through its budget. So what I'm here to do is to present to you the recommendations that we're bringing forward to you in terms of the budget, and you have a later item on your agenda where we'll be asking you to approve these changes. But let's go ahead and start with the update. what you see here is that the General Assembly did extend its session, which we knew would happen. We talked about that when you approved your budget on March 30th, that the General Assembly was still in session, so we knew that they were going to make changes. So the budget that we brought to you on March 30th was based on the governor's budget. So they did come forward and do some work after March 30th. They actually were in session again yesterday and today. I believe they may have finished their work for today. So there may be some minor tweaks that come out from them that we may need to adjust slightly in the coming weeks. But the bulk of the work that they've done is going to be included in what I present to you in the coming slides. So what you're seeing tonight is based on the work the General Assembly did prior to this week and the actions of City Council actually from last night, because City Council did approve their budget yesterday evening. So again, if there are any budget changes that come out of the work the General Assembly's done this week, we'll bring those forward to you, but I just don't anticipate we're going to see much difference from what they've done. The General Assembly, through the work that they did after the governor's budget, so this is above what the governor's proposed budget was that he had put out in December, they did provide an additional $92,692 over the funding that we had included in your budget on the March 30th budget. So that was good news. We actually got a little good news out of Richmond, and that was we got a little bit more money, okay? So what we're proposing to you tonight is that out of that $92,692, that we reinstate one of the teacher positions that we had recommended be cut in the budget that you approved on March 30th at a cost of $60,500. So we had recommended cutting 9 teaching positions and 2.5 support positions. So what I'm bringing you this evening is now to cut 8 teaching positions and again the 2.5 support positions. Remember, we were able to do all of our position cuts through attrition this year for the first time in 4 years. So this will enable us to put another position back in. We know that scheduling is still going to be tight moving into next year, but this does just help make things a little bit easier. Now the remaining $32,192, we want to put that back in our operating budget and pull out some of that one-time jobs bill money that we put in, because remember, every dollar that we put in of jobs bill money, we know we have to turn around next budget year and cut. So that enables us to pull another $32,000 out of the jobs bill money. Again, I would say to you, if we do see any change in budget from the work of this week, and I really truly believe if it's anything, it's going to be very minimal, then my recommendation is going to be that any that we do, we put in and pull jobs bill money back out. So that's what we're recommending to do with the just over $92,000. Now, we talked about this when I presented the budget to you back in March, but this has come to fruition because this was put out by the General Assembly and has been supported by the governor. And this is that the General Assembly is now requiring that our employees pick up the 5% of employee share over the next 5 years. So remember, we talked about back in the 1980s, the employee share, the 5%, General Assembly said we can't afford to give raises, so let's have localities and school boards pick up the 5% employee share for their employees. Now what the General Assembly has done, and with the work of the governor, has said now we want employees to pick up that 5%, but they are allowing a phase-in approach. So we have 5 years to make the change of the 5%. What they've also said is that we have to give matching raises. So if we have employees pick up the 5%, we have to give employees a 5% raise to offset the loss. The reality is, though, even with the offsetting percentage raise, employees still lose money. The raise that we're mandated to give does not actually cover all that employees lose when we make this switch. Additionally, all of this costs the division money. So for us to now have employees pick up the full 5%, it costs us another $100,000. So this did not come at no cost to school divisions, nor did it come at no cost to employees themselves. I've had the question in the past, and I want to clarify this for you and for the community. This is just about who pays. This is not helping VRS. This is not strengthening VRS. This is just a matter of saying instead of employers paying the 5%, employees will pay it. But in the middle of all that, it's actually costing our employees and costing school divisions. So I do want to clarify that's what this change is doing for us. Now, City Council last night actually approved some additional funding for the school division. Remember, we had requested $160,000 of funding. What they did last night was they are actually approved to provide us with an additional $42,050, which is very helpful for us. They've done this because what they are going to be able to do for their employees this year is make the 5-for-5 switch. They have far fewer employees than we have, so all the city employees will now pay their 5% into their as part of their employee share, and the $42,050 actually then covers what their employees will lose if they didn't provide some additional funding, so that the city employees for the most part will now break even. So they've provided that $42,050 for us. And analyzing all of the numbers and crunching the numbers, what we're proposing to you this evening is that we provide a 2.4% raise to our employees and then have them pick up the 2% of the employee share of VRS. That 0.4% covers what our employees, for the most part, we're still going to have some employees that don't exactly break even, but may even be within, $10 to $15 of even. We've done it gone as much as we can to try and pull as many people into breaking even. So what's really important here is this 2.4% raise, and I've talked to everybody about this, to our employees about it, is not really a raise. We're giving them 2.4%, but 2% of that goes into VRS, and the 0.4% is what they would be losing because of the switch. So we're trying to break them even. We certainly appreciate what council's been able to do by providing us that money. We cannot afford to go to the full 5% because we can't afford to cut another $100,000 out of our budget, nor do we have the money to offset the further loss to the employees. So we're recommending this year we phase in with the 2% and that we will address the remaining 3% in the coming 4 years as we move to transition in. We are having a cost to the division by doing this. It's costing us about $40,000 to make that move to the 2%. What we are able to do is cover the cost of that by decreasing our workmen's compensation and unemployment compensation. Remember, the good news we had this year was we didn't have to lay off people as part of our budget process. So we're able to reduce the unemployment compensation moving into next year. We've tracked our workmen's compensation. We feel comfortable reducing it. And additionally, since we actually had you all approve the budget, we've seen resignations, and we believe we're going to see some personnel savings through those resignations while we're replacing people. We just tend to see some savings as people move in and new people come in. So we know that we can cover that additional $40,000. So keep in mind when we have to, as we move into now making the switch for the remaining 3%, at some point we're going to have to cover the $60,000 that it's going to cost us, as well as hopefully try and find funding to offset the loss the employees will feel. So that's the second part of our recommendation. The first part is what to do with the additional $92,000, and then the second part is what we're recommending that we do with VRS this year. Now, I told you that we did get the good news out of the General Assembly in that we did get the additional $92,000 over what the governor proposed. Clearly, though, we also saw a loss in funding because of the VRS switch. But we really can't lose sight of the fact that we've still, for this budget, reduced our positions by 8 teaching positions, 2.5 support positions, and we did cut 1 instructional program, materials and processing, at the high school. So it's important for us to know, and for our community to know, instruction is being impacted by these budget cuts. Despite the slight bit of good news from the General Assembly, we are now operating with far fewer employees again than we did. We've cut a total of 45.5 employees in 4 years. That's a tremendous cut. Again, the employee raises, I can't stress enough, merely offset the cost of VRS. So it is in fact not truly a raise to the employees, and that they're going to be walking home with more take-home pay. We talked about this when we did budget in March. So again, we're moving forward the remaining jobs bill money, which now is a little over $243,000. We're asking to move that forward, and we're going to provide a one-time bonus to all of our employees in October. Again, we don't have the amount for that bonus at this time because we want to get schools open and get enrollment in. If for some reason we see a larger enrollment drop than we based our budget on, we may need to use some of these jobs bill money to then offset the loss, so we don't have to budget cut to do that. If the enrollment tracks the way we hope it does, then we would have that remaining money. We'll come forward to you as a board with a recommendation in September as to how we would like to bonus employees. But we know right now we should have close to this amount of money, hopefully, if enrollment stays on track for that one-time bonus. So again, we've cut in 4 years almost $4.5 million out of a budget that started at $22 million. We know, I've talked about this before, I want to stress for the board and for the community, we are anticipating that we will be making cuts again next year as we move into fiscal year 14. Our hope is they may not be as large as the ones we've faced in the last 4 years, but that's very dependent on what tracks with the economy in the coming months. But I just don't want people to lose sight of the level of cutting that we have done in this school division in the last 4 years, and that it has impacted the services we provide the students. So I was glad to provide some good news tonight, but I don't want us to lose sight of what we've had to do in the past 4 years and how it has impacted us. So again, under items for consideration, we will be bringing forward you the proposal for you to actually approve the changes to the budget, but I wanted to do a thorough presentation in advance of that request. Any questions related to?
Board?
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the part about the workers' compensation and the unemployment compensation?
Yes.
The savings there?
Yes. We needed to find $40,000 to offset the loss to the school division. Because we did not have to go into layoffs this year, we know that we can reduce the amount of money we have in the unemployment compensation comfortably, and we've tracked our workman's compensation closely over the recent years, and we feel comfortable we can reduce it slightly. And then the third area that we'll save in to reach the $40,000 is because we've already seen some resignations that were not in place prior to the budget development for March 30th, so we know we'll see a little savings. So that'll track us through the $40,000 without having to do anything with jobs bill money, again, to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, Dr. Parrish.
Thank you.
Next will be our instructional update with Dr. Cataldo.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, members of the school board, Dr. Parrish. Tonight I would like to talk with you a little bit about our summer school programs. We have two summer school programs here in Poquoson, the K-8 summer school program, and then we have the high school summer school program. The K-8 program is a state-funded program. It does not cost us money. It is free to students that require remediation in order to be successful in the upcoming grade. We base enrollment for this state-funded K-8 program based on student test results, and those are test results throughout the year as well as at the end of the year, the SOL test. We also look at student academic performance, as well, of course, getting our teacher and administrator recommendations for being in this program. Remediation is provided in two basic areas, English, we look at reading and writing, as well as mathematics. And we use a hands-on approach, of course, to that, as well as teacher-directed instruction. Generally, there are smaller class sizes, and we have additional help with paraeducators in there to make sure that the instruction going on and taking place is different from the school year, but also is able to get these students to where they need to be. The other program that we have is the high school program. And this program is for students rising 9th through 12th grade students that are interested in having repeat credit or original credit in the four following courses: physical education and 9th grade health, 10th grade health, driver's ed classroom, not the driver's portion, PE, Algebra 1, and Geometry in those four areas. Students will take their SOLs this year in the Algebra 1 and Geometry during August 9th, that last school day. So they will get that support and assistance. Of course, if we have a low enrollment course, those courses do not generally make if we have a smaller enrollment. And as I mentioned before, the behind the wheel is not offered. Now, we do put information and sign up for this summer school, the high school summer school, in February every year. So during February time, we will put it out on our webpage and make sure people know, because the PE classes are very popular. It allows students to take that credit over the summer. They can do different activities than they would during the school year, and it also allows them to free up an elective throughout the school year. And really just a general summary of our summer school programs. Of course, we do offer transportation for all students that are going to be in the summer school program. And we do announce bus pickup locations, as well as putting that in front of each school. We do it always by the June 21st date. Now, summer school doesn't start till the 25th, so students and parents know ahead of time. We also put that on our EdLine homepage for the division, so that information is out there for students and for parents. Most of our summer school employees are actually Poquoson staff during the regular school year, and this does help maintain continuity between the school year and the remediation during the summer. And dates of summer school I have listed up there. We have the K-8 program, and that goes from June 25th to July 19th. And then the high school program goes a little bit longer, June 25th to August 9th, and that allows for the high school credit to be given to a student because they do need, mandated by state, 140 clock hours. So if you do the math on there, they get that exact amount of time, a little bit longer that they need for that high school credit. But that's basically the summer school programs we have, K-8, and then the high school program for Poquoson.
Board questions, comments?
Have you seen a rise or a fall in enrollment in the past few years for our summer program?
In the K-8 program, we have pretty much standard enrollment there. We do ask for about 20 students per class, and so principals, teachers make the recommendations based on those numbers for the classes. And the PE 9 and 10, we always see a high enrollment. That class is always full. We generally take a waiting list probably around starting June. We still have a few openings right now, but starting around June time, we get a waiting list for those. And as spots open up, we generally able to satisfy that for all students. The algebra and geometry, in the past, that course is not made based on enrollment. We believed, as I mentioned last presentation on summer school, and talking about SOL tests and how the math tests could be difficult, we do anticipate having students taking a little bit extra remediation there, getting that practice so they can take the SOL again if they were not able to be successful for the spring testing.
Thank you.
Yes.
If one of our classes does not make enough students, do we go with York County or something else as an alternative? Because I think I've heard that in the past.
Students have that opportunity to go through, they can go to a different school to get, if it's something that we do not offer.
Anybody else? Dr. Cataldo, it says most of the summer school employees are Poquoson staff.
Correct.
Where do we, who fills out that roster?
The ones that are not Poquoson staff, or generally the Poquoson staff, a lot of our K-8 or even the K-6, so elementary, primary, many of our teachers are doing summer school. In the other classes at the high school, for example, we do have some interest. If we don't have teacher interest through Poquoson, we've opened it up, and we have some Hampton teachers and other teachers in local school divisions that have assisted in that area.
And who qualifies for the federal remedial program?
That would be a K-8 student, and that would be a student who requires remediation that we have determined that needs remediation to be successful in the upcoming school year.
Okay, so that's determined by the classroom teacher?
Classroom teacher, we look at tests, we look at any type of assessment done throughout the year. Principals make those recommendations to me, but that's based on teachers, on tests, on grades throughout the year.
Clearly, the SOLs play a large part.
And the SOLs, right, of course. Okay. Okay.
For the K-8 program, do you ever have a need for more, do you have a restricted number of spots And do you ever have a need for more, or do you just add more classes?
We add more classes.
I see.
Yes, and in the past, the way the state provides the payment for that is based on our number of students. So in the past, we've actually been able to stay within that number, but I do know 1 or 2 years we've had a higher number in the middle school, and so we've been able to provide that. We've had more teachers, additional teachers that we hired. We were able to absorb that need, and then all the students were able to get the remediation they needed for the next school year.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Sidner, would you like to take us through the consent agenda, please?
Certainly. The consent agenda consists of A, approval of minutes of April regular meeting and work session enclosed. B, approval of certification of special closed board meeting on May 9th enclosed. Approval of financial reports enclosed. D, approval of personnel action enclosed. E, of authorization to dispose of surplus property enclosed. F, approval of employee health and dental benefits for FY 2013, reading file enclosed. And G, authorization to accept and expend funds as outlined in attached request to request enclosed.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I'll second it.
Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. We'll move into our other matters for consideration. A on the agenda is consideration of approval of minutes of April special board meeting, which is enclosed. Do I have a motion to approve that item?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Since this is under other items, does anybody have questions or comments about that? Discussion? Okay. Thank you. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Next on the agenda is consideration of approval of revised fiscal year 13 operating budget. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, this is tied to the presentation that I did earlier, so we brought forward the recommendation to you to include the additional 92,692 in our budget and to use that money to add 1 teaching position back in, so we will cut 8 teaching positions in fiscal year 13, and to use the other 32,192 to pull out some of the jobs bill money and move it forward to assist with the one-time bonus that we will pay in the fall, and additionally, it deals also with the change in the employee share of VRS. So with that said, we recommend approval of the operating budget for fiscal year 13 as amended.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve item B?
Yes, I move the approval of the revised fiscal year 2013 operating budget.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right, thank you. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Next on the agenda is consideration of approval of a resolution adopting the Virginia Retirement System, VRS, rates for non-professional employees. And there was a reading file enclosed. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, each year there are actually 2 rates for our employees, one for non-professional employees and those that are classified by the state as professional employees. What we're recommending here is that you approve the rate of 14.63%. VRS through the General Assembly did give an option for a lower rate, which would provide some temporary relief, but in the end we know we'd have to pay the difference on that. And because we really have very few employees in this category, we can afford to move to the higher rate now, and that way we know what we'll be contending with in the next couple of years to come. So we recommend that you adopt the rate of 14.63%.
Do I have a motion to approve item C?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Next is item D, consideration of approval of a resolution adopting the Virginia Retirement System, VRS, rates for member contributions, reading, file, and closed. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, this connects to part of the presentation about VRS tied to the operating budget. You do need to approve the actual rates that you will have employees contribute as far as the employee share. So we've brought forward to you that will require employees to contribute 2% of the employee share into VRS. We will offset that with a 2.4% raise to cover the loss that they would feel. Know that we will need to move to the 5% in the coming years. So next budget year we'll come forward with a recommendation as to how many percentage points we'll include, but we will need to get to the 5, but we are taking advantage of the fact that we can transition.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve item D?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any questions, comments there? Okay. Thank you. Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Next up is item E, consideration of approval of the fiscal year 13 pay plan, reading, file, and closed. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, all of this flows from your budget. So with the pay plan, what we're bringing forward is the recommendation that you approve the pay plan we presented, which does include the 2.4% raise. Again, not really a raise because it's just going to cover the employee's share of VRS, and the 0.4% is to try and offset for the majority of the employees a loss that they would feel. So we're bringing forward that recommendation. I would like to mention again that we have been able to do that 0.4% with the help of the additional funding that we did receive from City Council as of yesterday evening. So with that said, I recommend the approval of the fiscal year 13 PCPS pay plan as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve item E?
A motion we approve the FY13 pay plan.
Second.
Second.
Any questions?
I'll make a comment, though. I appreciate
Outstanding.
City Council's support of the needs that we have.
Absolutely. I think that would resonate among all of us.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ms. McDowell, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Hucks?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cast?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is item F, consideration of approval of the school calendar. Dr. Parrish?
Yes, something that's actually not budget related directly anyways. We have brought forward to you our calendar for next school year. Just to highlight a couple of items, we have, as part of the calendar that we're presenting to you this evening, included 182 days, which means we do have 2 inclement weather days built in. I think this year we were as lucky as we can get that we actually didn't need the 2 days and we were able to give them back to our employees and our students, but I think to have that happen 2 years in a row would probably be quite unusual. So we do have the 2 days built in that will assist us if we do have a rather hard winter next year or any other major storms that we hope do not come to us. The other highlight I'd like to mention to you is, as you know, we gave midterm exams for the first time in the high school this year for a number of years, and we did have an exam committee meet following that, because once you initiate something new, you want to talk about how things went. Part of that exam committee, we had staff from the middle school and the high school, because they're the 2 schools that implemented that, as well as parents. And what the exam committee recommended, and we then brought that to the calendar committee, is that we consider having 2 more early dismissal days during the exam period, so the students would just take exams during those days. So that was brought forward to the calendar committee and supported with the calendar committee. So in addition to this calendar is that January 23rd and 24th will now be early dismissal days. So you'll have 3 days in January that are early dismissal days. Those afternoons for the 23rd and 24th will be what we call encumbered days for our staff, so that we will be able to provide teachers some collaboration time in addition to some time to at the secondary level to work on grading, and we may do some professional development. Please note that while the exams are given in the middle of the high school, we are recommending that the early dismissal be system-wide. I think it's much easier for parents when there's consistency across the day, and it will enable our primary and middle school teachers to also take part in some professional development and collaboration on those two half days as well. So we're bringing that forward to you. One thing to note, though, is, and Dr. Cataldo mentioned it as part of the summer school, we are required that our students who are in high school level courses do have to have 140 clock hours in order to earn credit. So currently we do have some students who do not come to schools on SOL testing days in May, because we're now taking some additional time out of the calendar for our school students enrolled in high school courses. We will be looking at students being in the schools during SOL testing at the secondary level, at the high school. That goes on K through 8 for us now. Other school divisions have students who are in there during those days, and we'll work carefully through the SOL testing calendar. But that was also discussed as part of the exam committee and as part of the calendar committee. So those were never actually in your calendar as separate early dismissal days. I just wanted you to know that it will cause us a shift a little bit in what we do with SOL testing. I will tell you, with the impending math tests, we think that some students may be taking those math tests for far more than the time we have for early dismissal days. We think, based on the experience that school divisions who were on the 4x4 had, we had students who were sometimes spending 5 hours apparently in other schools on those math tests. So I suspect that we're going to need to look at how we schedule those tests in the future as well. So I recommend to you approval of the school calendar as it is presented to you this evening.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve item F?
I'll move for approval of the 2012-2013 school calendar.
Second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? Well, I appreciate the exam committee's work. I think that was a bold move, and it looks like you had to do some juggling with times, and but I think overall that'll be a good thing for kids. So I really appreciate all the work they did. Okay, next comes public comment.
We need to
Oh,
vote on
I
it.
apologize. Y'all want to vote on that?
I think we have
All
to.
right. Thank you for keeping me straight, Ms. McDowell. Would you call for a vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Mr. Diggs?
Aye.
Mr. Melton?
Aye.
Mr. Cass?
Aye.
Ms. Sidner?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
The motion passed by a vote of 6-0.
Now we'll do public comment. Do we have any, Ms. McDowell?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Dr. Parrish, can you kick off our communications for tonight?
Yes, I'd be happy to do so. And the first thing I'd like to do is I had one of the parents come forward and ask that I recognize Mr. Norm Rinchuk. He is one of the volunteers that works heavily with our Odyssey of the Mind team. So I just wanted to do a public shout out, as they called it, for him and thank him for the work that he does on behalf of our students. He's been doing it for years. I also just want to once again recognize folks, because since our last meeting we had our advanced ed accreditation visit, and as I think our community is well aware, we were fully accredited and we did receive 3 commendations. So I just want to thank everybody. I know board members gave of their time both for interviews and come for the special meeting. A number of community members were involved in that, and certainly all of our staff, our teachers, and our administrators. So it was quite a busy week for everybody, but very successful, and we're certainly pleased with the results and have met another part of our long-range plan that the community developed a number of years ago. I want to thank everyone for their patience during the budget process. While we might be bringing tweaks, for lack of a better word, to you, I think we're finally pretty much done with fiscal year 13, and we will start into fiscal year 14 when we get to next fall, but we certainly received a lot of input, and I thank everybody for that, and I know it's a stressful time for everybody, so their patience is much appreciated. We are in the midst of SOL and AP testing in our schools right now, so I want to wish all of our students the best of luck and thank our teachers because I know they've prepared them well for those tests. But as you, if you go into any of the schools in the coming weeks, I suspect there's going to be times of the day when you can hear a pin drop as those students are working on the tests. So we're ready for that. And finally, this is our last meeting, believe it or not, before graduation and the end of the school year. So I just hope that everyone enjoys all those end of the year events, and I look forward to seeing everybody at graduation, and our board meeting won't be till actually the Tuesday after that graduation. So those are my comments for this evening.
Great. Kelly?
Okay, so the schools have been very busy as the school year is ending with many activities. At the primary school, last meeting I talked about the Poquoson Public Library Poetry Contest, and there are many winners from the primary school. Faith Swindler got first place, Jack Nelson Catlett got second, and Holly Freeman received third place. And honorable mentions were also awarded to Sarah Trantham and Brandon Newsom. The primary schoolers also had a family fun night sponsored by the PPS PTO. On May 8th, it was focused on health and wellness, and they got to do activities like Zumba and line dancing and karate, which was really fun. I wish I had gone. But they also received a treat from the PMS students taught by Anna Tracy, who put on a puppet show yesterday that centered around non-bullying. And May 21st and 22nd, the second grade music program for the teachers, Miss Richardson, Miss Barton, and Miss Hinshaw, will go on that night at 7 and it'll last till 8. At the elementary school, they had a cookie dough fundraiser this past month, and through that they were able to raise enough money to buy iPads and an iPad cart. And part of that fundraiser, they got to see a BMX show, and I heard that Miss Wood had a fun time with that, as she had to sit on one of the ramps and have a bike jump over her. I'm impressed. I wouldn't be able to do that. And April 26th is their Festival of the Arts, it was their Festival of the Arts, where many crafters, musicians, and activities for parents and students were held. And yesterday, the third graders had their spring program, which went very well, I heard. Some of my friends had siblings in that grade, and they went and saw it, and they enjoyed it. At the middle school, their spring band concert is this Thursday night at 7 p.m., and their SOL testing begins this Wednesday with the 8th grade reading, so good luck to all of you guys doing that. Their spring pictures will be taken Monday, May 21st, and they have a yearbook signing dance Friday, June 1st. The spring chorus concert is June 7th, and the 8th grade celebration will be Friday, June 8th. And my sister just got her dress for that, so she's excited. At the high school, like Dr. Parrish said, we are doing SOL testing and AP testing, and it's stressful. Definitely stressful. I took my AP test last Friday, and I'm happy it's over. We're watching movies now. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but we're watching movies now, and it's fun. I'm
sure they're developmental.
Yes, actually we're watching Schindler's List in my history class, and it's taught us a lot so far. Our prom is this weekend. I'm so excited. And then after prom, I'm excited too. So I want to say thank you to all the parents and the teachers and the community who's helping out with that. Our spring chorus concert is May 31st at 7 p.m. at Grafton High School, and the spring band concert is June 4th at 7 p.m. at Tabb High School. Our National Honor Society induction ceremony will be May 30th at 7 p.m., I believe at the high school in the Forum, and the scholarships and award night will be June 6th at 7 p.m. at the high school, and the baccalaureate service will be June 10th at 6 p.m., and graduation is June 16th at 11 a.m. And that is all I have.
That was a lot. Mr. Hux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're pleased to announce that we will be conducting interviews for our student representative to the school board on Wednesday, May 30th, starting at 5 o'clock in the adjacent conference room. And the appointee will take over from Ms. Jasinski when she completes her term. She's done a fine job for us over the last year. We have some outstanding applicants. I'm sure the decision will be very challenging. I'd like to congratulate our teachers that were recognized for being student teachers of the year for this year. We're thankful to have them in the system. Thanks to all those that contributed to the full accreditation of our school system. I'd like to reemphasize Mr. Melton's thanks to City Council for being so supportive of us and going above and beyond with their support with this year's budget. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Diggs.
I'd just like to start off by saying, Kelly, thank you for representing the students very well this last year. Wish you great success in your senior year. So thank you. And I'd like to close out with just congratulations to the teachers, the representatives of the teachers in our school district. I'm sure it was not an easy choice with so many teachers to choose from, but the fact that your fellow teachers and faculty selected you, congratulations. Job well done.
Thank you. Mr. Melton.
Yes, I'd like to thank our student presenters tonight, Ms. Feldman and Ms. Foley. Well received up here. Very important work they do in assistive technology and augmentative communication. Those things are more important than many of us know. And I'd like to thank all of our special ed teachers for the hard work that they do each and every day. Other than that, I'll see some of our Poquoson High School graduates at the Thomas Nelson Community College graduation tomorrow evening. And I'm really looking forward to our high school graduation in June.
Great. Mr. Cass.
Well, my fellow board members have done a great job of recognizing folks, but I'd also like to commend Mrs. Foley. Amazing with her creativity and what she does. We're very lucky to have someone that thinks that way. I'd like to congratulate all the award winners, also the teachers of the year, and to publicly thank the Kiwanis Club for what they do for our school system. And also thanking the volunteers and parents of the students of Odyssey of the Mind, because I haven't gone anywhere in Poquoson and haven't been asked for some money to support the trip to Iowa. So they're working very, very hard to support that trip, and I think it would be right if I yielded the rest of my time to Kelly to tell us about your dress.
Oh, my prom dress?
Yes.
Oh, it is a pretty coral color, and it is strapless and flowy. I look like a Barbie doll, in my opinion, and that makes me happy.
Go Barbie.
And I haven't made it this long without realizing what's important to women, so that's why I did that.
Ms. Sidner.
Okay, well, I would like to ditto all the congratulations to our student award winners and Teachers of the Year, and the thanks to the City Council. But I would also like to, ahead of time, thank all the administration at the high school and the parents and teachers as well that do after prom night. It's a great program, and I'd just like to, ahead of time, thank everybody who supports that. The community as well supports it. So,
Thank you.
that's all.
I'd like to say that we did recognize several outstanding teachers that are with us in our system. We're proud of all of our teachers, and they all do a wonderful job, and it is a team effort from the assistant through the teacher, through the administrator, all the way up to central office. I know that your staff has just been running themselves ragged trying to get this budget, and you're waiting and you're trying to piece things together. So I appreciate your patience and your perseverance. In the City Council, thank you so much for your support. And that extra money will certainly be put to good use. To all of the prom goers, be safe. It's not worth it. Be safe. Okay, and thank you again to the parents, like you said, to the after prom. Phenomenal program. And with that, I will move into any material for board review.
None this evening.
Okay, and we will be adjourning for the work session where we will talk about the school consolidation report and the summer school board meeting schedule. And we'll also have a closed meeting for discussion of personnel matters. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you. It was long.